Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're reading some horror stories from r/nosleep. I will mention the author by name before each story, and I highly recommend you check them out on Reddit. Now, let's get started, shall we? The Dinner Service, written by Haunting Minute 5103. I have no idea how I ended up here. One minute I'm completely broke, desperate for anything that'll put cash in my pocket. The next I'm standing in front of a black metal door in an alley I've walked past 1,000 times. There was no sign, no light, just that door humming like it knows something I don't, like it's been waiting. Some guy, I can't even remember his name, called it a dinner service, said it paid better than any real job. Easy money, no experience needed, just show up hungry. I laughed. Who pays people to eat? I figured it was some influencer stunt or underground food challenge, but he didn't laugh, just stared at me with these hollow, sunken eyes, like he had chewed glass and swallowed it. "You want in?" he asked, pressing a heavy black card into my hand. There was no writing on it, just a raised symbol, like a scar. What's the catch?" I asked, and he looked away. "Just knock," he said. "They'll know." There was no explanation, no rules, just that voice, part warning, part dare. I should have thrown the card away, but I hadn't eaten in 2 days, my rent was overdue, and something in me wanted to believe this could be real. An easy out, a last resort with a silver platter. I knocked. The door opened before I could step back, soundlessly, as if it had been waiting for my touch. Inside, the air hit me first. It wasn't just bad, it was wrong. It smelled like raw meat left to rot in the sun, mixed with rust and sweat. The scent clung to my skin, crawled up my nostrils. The room had a low ceiling, and buzzing fluorescent lights flickered overhead like insects struggling to survive. A long table ran down the middle, covered in a filthy white cloth, set with plates and silverware that gleamed in the sick yellow light. Someone had tried to make it look nice. Candles, folded napkins, but that only made it worse. A flash came to my mind. My mom's kitchen, her lasagna bubbling in the oven. Soft light came through the window, and the smell was warm and thick with garlic. Safe, human. And then that memory faded, replaced by the smell here that felt like a fist in my lungs. The first person I saw was the server. Or maybe it wasn't a person. It wore a human face like a mask, stretched too tightly in places and sagging in others, dripping like melted wax. The eyes behind it seemed alive, but wrong, too still and too black, watching me without blinking. I wanted to vomit, I wanted to run, but before I could move, the first tray slid toward me on the table. It hissed. Something inside it hissed. I gagged. The smell, rotten and wet, sweet in a disturbing way, hit me like a punch. My stomach twisted, my hands went cold. "Eat," the server said. It wasn't a suggestion or a threat. It was a command. His voice was low and wet, like someone stirring blood. "Eat, or they'll feed you next." I wanted to scream, to run, but the door had already closed behind me. Silent, final. I knew then, at that moment, I wasn't getting out. Not alive, at least. I picked up the fork. My hand shook as if it didn't belong to me. The thing in the tray twitched. Fingers, something like a hand, maybe. The flesh quivered between my fork tines. My brain screamed, "Don't eat it," but my body moved anyway. I shoved it into my mouth. My jaw locked, my teeth sank, and it squealed. It squealed like it was alive. I gagged, choked, and swallowed. The taste was wrong, warm and salty, like blood and iron, still alive enough to make me want to rip my own tongue out. The second tray slid in. Bigger, worse. The smell intensified. The others at the table, pale and sweaty, with dead eyes, were already shoving it in their mouths, like starving animals, tearing at it with their teeth, swallowing without chewing. Blood dripped down their chins. No one spoke. No one looked up. And the server, he was grinning. By the third tray, I was shaking so hard that I could barely lift the fork. My stomach felt like a clenched fist, bile clawing up my throat with each breath. And God, the smell! It had seeped into my skin. It was in my pores, in my teeth, and my hair. When I blinked, I could taste it. It was inside me now, like rot crawling under my nails. My mind flickered. My apartment, last night, the terrible instant noodles I'd eaten at 2 a.m., the soft glow of my broken lamp, the hum of my fridge, all those silly little comforts, a life I thought lost. I wanted to hold on to that. I wanted to believe it was still real, but here I was staring at a slab of I don't even know what, twitching under the yellow light, like a heart refusing to stop. I wanted to run. God help me, I tried. My knees jerked under the table, but my knees didn't move. My hands froze on the fork and the tray. It moved, not like meat, not like cooked flesh. It seemed alive, like it was breathing. Fingers curled, limbs jerked, but something inside shifted like a fetus in a womb. A wet, gurgling sound rose up around me, but no one at the table was making it. It was inside me, in my ears, in my teeth, vibrating throughout my bones. Eat, the server said, calm and patient, like a priest giving last rites. But I felt it deep inside my bones. This wasn't a suggestion. It was gravity. Eat or they'll feed you next. The fourth tray arrived, and that's when I saw it. The room wasn't just a room anymore. In the middle, where the light flickered the most, something was twitching. A mound of limbs piled like a grotesque puzzle, wet and breathing, faces pressed against the edges of dishes, lips moving, eyes rolling under sagging lids. Some of them whispered, some of them sobbed, one of them hissed. I couldn't tell where the pile ended and the plates began. My gut dropped like I'd been punched straight through the floor. My stomach folded in on itself, my head swam. I thought, no, I refused to believe it. My brain tried to convince me it was something else. Trash, mannequins, props, anything but this. But my eyes wouldn't lie. I looked down at my own plate. My fingers trembled badly. I couldn't tell if they were still attached. My jaw locked up until it ached. My stomach screamed. I lifted the fork, and my brain shouted at me to stop. But my hands moved anyway, slow like a puppet's. I stabbed. I bit. Warm, soft silk flesh slid against the tongue. The taste, salty iron and alive, shot through me like electricity, and something worse. It was familiar. So familiar my heart stopped. The gurgling didn't stop. It came from the walls, the plates, inside me. Even the lights began to pulse with it, like the room was breathing through my skin. My mind snapped between memory and nightmare. My mom's lasagna cooling on the counter. The Sunday toast I'd burned last week. My last sober breath before everything fell apart. All those tastes, those smells, folded into the one in my mouth right now. And this taste, it was me. Not a memory, not a metaphor. I knew it like I knew my own heartbeat. I froze. My stomach locked. My lungs forgot how to breathe. My mind screamed, denied, rejected. No, no, no. This isn't real. But my tongue tasted the truth. My fingers still trembled, still holding the fork. When I looked at the center of the mound again, the shock hit me so hard, I thought my skull might crack. My reflection, my own face pressed into the pile, eyes wide with terror, lips half parted in a scream. I felt echoing in my own throat, my hair matted with blood, my skin a slick sheet of meat. I blinked and it blinked back. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't even blink properly. Denial rushed through me first. This isn't me. This is some sick trick, some mask. But the horror crawled up my spine. My humanity was slipping away like marrow pulled from a bone. The server leaned close. I felt his breath damp and hot against my cheek, the dripping mask hovering inches from my face. Up close, I could see the seams where it had been stitched, the way it twitched like something was moving beneath it. It wasn't a face at all. It was a window. Something behind it was chewing. Something human. Eat, he whispered. His voice was wet velvet sliding through my ears. Or be eaten. And my hands moved. I bit. It hit me like fire and ice at once. More metallic, alive, and mine. I tasted myself, and it was wrong, yet it was so good. My stomach convulsed, but my hands kept moving, lifting, stabbing, shoving. Every nerve screamed at me to stop. Every fiber of my being obeyed instead. The mound of flesh at the center twitched and gurgled, a mountain of faces pressed into meat. Eyes wide with horror, lips forming silent screams. My face was there too, my own face wedged among them, like a reflection in a butcher's mirror, watching me, pleading. And I kept eating. The server leaned close, his mask slick with something black dripping onto my hands, his breath warm and damp on my neck. Eat, he whispered. Voice low, patient. And I am still hungry. That is the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed what I had for you. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and interact with that new hype system if you got some hypes left for the week. I would really appreciate it. Now I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.